I'm not proud that my desk gets this messy, but I am proud that I take the time to clean it. Because when I create structure and organization in my environment, my brain just works better. And the same is true of storytelling. To tell a great story, you need to understand story structure, and you need to understand how to organize the details of your story. And that is what we're talking about in today's video. Hello. Greetings, my community. So if you've been following my channel, you already know where I stand with stories in marketing. I think they belong there. Stories are really good at creating trust and connection. They're like 20 times more likely to help someone remember who you are and what you do. And they can shift limiting beliefs better than almost any other tool. But today I'm going to walk you through how to tell a story. So whether you struggle with telling stories, you struggle to talk about yourself, or you feel like your stories kind of like fall flat, this video is going to help. So today I'm going to walk you through a 3-act structure for telling a great story. I'm going to make it as clear and easy to follow as possible so that by the end of the video, anyone should be able to follow these steps and tell a really strong, compelling, entertaining, engaging, captivating story. Okay, let's dive into Act 1. So Act 1, it's all about defining the current normal world. Act 1 is about getting us invested in the character, getting us invested in the stakes that are going to drive the story forward. And ultimately, Act 1's all about giving us enough information to make us care enough to keep reading. Okay, Act 1 has a few parts. Part 1, Act 1, introductions. So this is where we're going to introduce a character living their normal life. So think about Harry Potter. He lives under the stairs, not by choice, not by cute, but by force, okay? So he's sad, he's treated poorly, he doesn't have a lot of power. In your marketing, whether this is for a case study or just a story you're sharing, it's the same thing. Where does your character start? Maybe they're out of shape, but they've always dreamed of running a marathon. Maybe they hate their job and they're so depressed to go to work every day. Maybe they have been single and they really want a partner. So we're just introducing what is normal right now. The important thing with the introduction is to help us identify with and care about the character. And so we can do that a few different ways. Essentially, we're going to share some specific details. We could talk about what their day-to-day life looks like. We could talk about what their internal feelings might be. We could talk about thoughts they have, observations they have about themselves or about the world. Sharing little things like that is going to like draw us in and be like, I can connect to that person. Okay, so that's the introduction, and that's going to lead us into them telling us what they want. What they want is going to drive the story forward. And so the next section, I call it Letter to Santa, because what captures what someone wants better than your letter to Santa Claus? In this section, you're going to tell us what the character wants, needs, feels incomplete without. We're going to find a way to explain to the audience what this person lacks in their ordinary life and what would make them feel more complete or happier or more fulfilled. So with Harry Potter, he doesn't necessarily like want to be a wizard, but he does want to get the hell out of Dodge, get out of his aunt and uncle's house. In your marketing, the character, a lot of the time, what they want is the thing that your service, coaching, product offers them. So if you're like offering workouts, like if you run a workout business, ideally your character, the person you're focusing on, wants to get in shape, or they want to feel healthier, or they want to feel stronger. So we always want to find a way to relate what the person in your story wants to what your ideal customers would want, because they're going to see more of themselves in stories that line up in that way. And sometimes it's like right on the nose. You're a weight loss coach. I want to lose weight. But sometimes it's, I want more energy to play with my kids, or I want to feel confident and comfortable when I get on a plane. We just want to find different ways that your ideal customer could relate to that inner want. It can be expressed in different ways, which is why you can tell different stories and, represent different people, which brings us to the next step. Obstacle course. This is the part of the story where you tell us why you don't have what you want. For us to really understand the character and see what they have to overcome, we need to know what obstacles have been in their way. So this is where you tell us what's been getting in the way of them achieving their goal, their dream. It could be something external. For Harry Potter, it could be his really not ideal aunt and uncle. If it's for, your ideal customer, maybe they've done every diet and nothing has worked. This is where, if it was a case study, the obstacle course is where you might describe all the things they've tried before you, your competitors, mindsets that didn't work, crash diets that didn't work, etc. So in this section, we want to know why the character has not gotten what they want. It's all about tension. The more tension there is, the more I want this, but this is in my way, the more engaged we get, the more interested we get. If you say, I want a reservation at this restaurant and my dad owns the restaurant, so I called him and he got me one, Worst story ever, mom. You need tension to keep people engaged. The thing with an obstacle is it creates like a mystery. I don't know how you're going to get around that. I'm going to keep reading to find out because now I'm hooked. Whenever there's a massive challenge, our brain gets hooked in the narrative and we go, I have an open loop. I need to figure out how you resolve this. So the last section of Act 1, I'm calling it Get After It. Okay, so this is the part where your character is like, they've had enough and they're going to take a different action. They make the decision in this act to say, I'm going to go do X. I'm going to go buy your course and I'm going to give it one last try. Or that's when I bought a plane ticket and I decided I'm having a girls' weekend no matter what. That's when I hit submit to apply to law school. This is where they're making a bold decision to go get their dream, to go achieve their goal, to go be more complete. Albert Einstein, he once said, insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. So we can think about this part of the story, Get After It. Your character's not insane anymore. They're sane. They're deciding to do something different, and we're going to see what comes as a result of that different choice in Act 2. Okay, so Act 2, where all the fun happens. This is where we watch the character take steps, make improvements. Act 2 is all about leading to the big moment of the story, the climax of the story. Act 2 has 2 parts to it. The first part is the fun montage scene. Think about like the montage scene of a movie. You know, in Harry Potter, he's a student, but we're not watching him like study in his dorm room. He's learning to fly and he's making potions. We're not watching the ins and outs, we're watching it overall happen. So in your marketing, this is the part where we can see all the different features of your program, little insights or interesting components that you have that other people don't have. This is a good moment to highlight, what makes you different than the competition. One way that you can make this more compelling and realistic is a lot of the time in these montage scenes, it's not win, 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 win achievement. It's win, setback. But the setback taught me this, so then I'm winning more. I had a hard moment. Depending on like what you offer, maybe if we just go, we'll go back to the weight loss coach, maybe someone's doing your program and they're finally seeing results. And it's not super easy. They still have to have discipline. They still find themselves not wanting to go to the gym on one of the days, but they find that because of the way you teach this, they have better tools to manage that now. So you see how like they're not living their dream per se right now, but they have better tools, better insights, are getting closer. That's what you can put in here. This is just good storytelling. Having ups and downs, it creates more tension. And like we said before, tension draws us in. And so the montage scene is all about getting us set up for the big moment. And this is what I call the Big Bang moment. If you don't believe in the Big Bang, then we could call this like when Jesus got a six-pack. And it's like the moment where we can't go back to the way things were. This is too crazy. Everything from now on will be different. We will be different. The world is different. The Big Bang moment. Jesus got a six-pack. When Harry Potter fights Voldemort, things are not the same. If this is a case study, this is the moment your client ran a marathon that they've been dreaming of doing since they were a little kid. It's a moment where either the external world changes or their internal world changes, but the shift is so significant, we're like entering a new world after this. With running a marathon, if you don't think you can run that far, and then you do, it shifts what you think is possible for you. So it's like, yes, it's just running a marathon, but it's bigger than that because of the emotion and the meaning we put on it. And that's kind of how to think about the Big Bang moment. Sometimes it can be huge, like you're fighting Voldemort. That's pretty big. Sometimes it's really big for you. That because of the way we told the story, how we're connected to you, the tension that's got built up, the obstacles that you've overcome, now it feels big for the reader as well. One thing to point out about the Big Bang moment, this moment can be awesome, or it could be a disaster. It all comes down to your intention for telling the story. So for a very quick example, let's say you're a CrossFit coach and maybe there's an athlete who prides themselves on being first. First place is where they value themselves. They work really hard. They're training for a big race. They're training for months and they're ready and they know they're going to be number one. And then the day before the race, no, let's make it the race, even more tense. The gun goes off and somehow they roll their ankle and they break their ankle like 10 seconds into the race. And maybe that moment is a disaster. But perhaps the shift that came was that they understood that their value has nothing to do with everyone else, that they gave it their all. They were so proud of how they trained. It's not about winning. It's about putting everything you've got out there. And that's what CrossFit's all about. I don't do CrossFit, so, maybe we're going into cold water here, but the Big Bang moment, breaking your ankle, total disaster. But something great came from it, and what came from it is directly related to your business. If you're doing it for your marketing, whether you're telling a personal story, a case study, a story that you heard the other day, you want to find a way to relate it to your customer. And so that leads us into Act 3. In terms of telling stories for marketing purposes, Act 3 is the most important part to get right. So Act 3 has 4 parts. Part 1, new me who dis. Harry Potter, he leaves Hogwarts for the summer, right? But he's not the same. The important thing is that this is your character's new normal world, right? Because we agreed that the Big Bang was so significant of a moment that it either changed the world or it changed their internal world. If possible, we want to see a moment of that. We'll go back to the weight loss coach. If you have always been anxious about getting the middle seat on a plane because you've never felt comfortable, and now you feel strong and fit and healthier than you ever have, and you walk down the aisle and no one bats an eye, it's like this specific moment we can see how the world is different now. So we want to, if it's possible to give a moment like that, and this is especially true if it's a case study that your ideal customers can directly relate to, because this last piece is going to really pull them into the results that your course or coaching or service or product has given someone else. So after new me who dis, the next part is an Oprah aha moment. As a result of the Big Bang, you need an aha moment in your story, because this is quite literally the place where you relate what happened in the story to your ideal audience. This is how you say, hey, this is relevant to you, directly relevant, because look at the takeaway we had here. The aha moment can be a new belief based on the story. It could be a new insight. It could be motivation. If she can do it, you can do it. Or it could be an interesting takeaway, helpful thought or approach to something. When we talk about the, Oprah's aha moment, this is really where the value comes in. This could be where you share explicit steps. This person was able to get these things, and these are the 4 things she did that made the biggest difference. In the past, I've said just sharing value is not valuable, because just lists without context, without emotion, value with context is profound. Value that's just lists is just ChatGPT at this point. Okay, so then the last part, segue real smooth. We're going to segue back to your business. So let's say this is an email, right? And you told this really compelling story in an email. Then you said, these are the 3 things that are going to help you the most. Boom, 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 you share them. This is where we get a little bit more explicit in relating the reason we told this story back to the thing that you actually offer. This story reminded me so much of the way that I run my course. Or, you could say it's so important to have this point of view. And in my business, that's what we focus on. You see what I mean? You take what's happening, you take the aha moment, and then you go, and this is how it relates to what I offer. The more smooth we can make this segue, the better it's going to be. So finding really strong parallels to work from whatever the aha moment you had back into your business, the smoother that transition is, the less we will be reminded that we're being sold to. It will feel natural and it'll feel like the most obvious next step. Okay, and then the last part of any marketing material is the call to action, the CTA. And so we've segued into your business, and now we go, if you want this, if you're curious to learn more, if you want a free thing, go ahead and click the link. Yeah, so let's do a real deal example of a CTA. So hello there. We've just walked through an incredible, clear, helpful guide to storytelling in your business. If you were someone who was struggling beforehand or who was hesitant to use stories, then I encourage you to click in the link below. This is the CTA. Go down to the bio, call to action. And I hope you click on that link, and I hope you get the free guide. It really will be helpful. This is what I do if I'm telling a story. I break it down in this format first. I don't try to tell a great story, draft one. I try to get all the information in the correct place. And then from there, it's super easy to edit and to have a final draft ready so much faster than trying to make the story perfect right off the bat. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. And if this was helpful and you're curious about what do all good stories have in common, much like baking, all baking has flour, water, salt, but what you make, whether it's a bagel or a donut or a muffin, the main ingredients are the same. Storytelling is not that different. In my next video, I have a breakdown of, regardless what kind of story you're telling, these are the things that should be in every story and why, and how you can do that in your marketing specifically. So if you're interested in that, click the next video. And if you're not interested in that, then do have a great day. And real quick before you go, I've got a bone to pick with someone. No pun intended. Misha, no one has liked and subscribed. Misha, it's your only job. It's your only job. Yes. Will you encourage them to like and subscribe? she needs this work. You know what I mean? She can't do a lot. So please like and subscribe, because otherwise this girl, she's going on the street tonight.